If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges.
Yes, we've actually been monitoring this closely, the Department of Homeland Security.
Defending freedom will have costs for us as well, and here at home.
Oh, the Canadian truckers are in for it. According to the new police chief in Ottawa, Joe Biden has issued sanctions on Russia after they've invaded Ukraine. There's a new recall in California. Holy cow, so much going on today. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the hotel room in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is February 23rd, the year of our Lord 2022. A lot of stuff going on around the world. We're going to catch you up on the Russia-Ukraine stuff because that actually is going to impact your life. According to the President of the United States, Joe Biden, yesterday said that the cost of freedom is going to cost something, which is interesting given the juxtaposition of what's going on in Canada, the also free country. Actually, we want to start off with that. I want to start it off with this, a couple clips from the country of Canada and Ottawa specifically. Holy cow. This is something you just can't avoid talking about. I know people are probably tired of talking about the Ottawa truckers or the Canada truckers, the Freedom Convoy, all that sort of stuff, but they're protesting vaccine mandates that were ridiculous to begin with. And then the police chief came out and said this yesterday during a press conference. If you haven't already, I know there's a couple thousand of you watching that. Click the little share button, click the little like button, share, because people, I feel like, are unaware of this. And I know I sound like a broken record talking about this, but they need to see this. Watch this from the Ottawa police chief when he was questioned yesterday about whether or not they were going to go after people who participated in the protest. We'll talk about it on the other side. Watch this.
Are you going to be sort of actively pursuing the people that you've been sort of documenting and filming who are still out there protesting? What are your plans after this, after the protest is over?
Thank you. It's a great question. And the simple answer is yes. If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges. Absolutely. This investigation will go on for months to come. It has many, many different streams, both from a federal financial level, from a provincial licensing level, from a criminal code level, from a municipal breach of court order, breach of court injunction level.
Okay, so again, that was the Ottawa police chief saying that if you participated at all, you will be prosecuted. They're going to chase you down and levy sanctions on you financially and criminal charges. Holy cow. Here's the thing. This is the thing that we've been saying. They're digging themselves into a deeper hole. Justin Trudeau, all of the people that have come out, Cynthia Freeland, the deputy prime minister, the police chief of Ottawa, saying that if you participate at all, if you're going to make those ridiculous kind of comments, you can't call it a protest. It needs to be some sort of thing that's actually illegal. Because here's the thing, protesting in a free country, apparently not Canada, is entirely legal. Now, did it cause a disturbance? Of course. I'm not going to deny that it was a massive disturbance to the city of Ottawa. But at the same time, the whole reason they're protesting could have very easily been avoided. They could have very easily, Trudeau could have said, yeah, these mandates are dumb and we're not going to do them anymore. This is the whole thing. Rather than follow the science, Justin Trudeau and apparently the Ottawa police chief and apparently a lot of the people in the Liberal Party in Canada are now going full-on dictator, full-on tyrant, and saying that if you participated, because here's what a protest is: speaking out against the government. So this is what protest means in legal terms in the United States and in Canada. If you spoke out against the government, we're going to track you down, find you, levy financial sanctions on you personally, and possibly charge you with criminal activity. Levy criminal charges against you. Whoa. They're going to bring criminal charges against people for protesting. Jen Psaki, so obviously if you're watching this continually, the White House and Washington, D.C. area as a whole is worried about this. Watch this clip from Jen Psaki talking about whether or not, well, check this clip out, press briefing room, Jen Psaki, White House press secretary.
Yes, we've actually been monitoring this closely. The Department of Homeland Security and the administration are tracking reports of a potential convoy that may be planning to travel to several U.S. cities, including Washington, D.C. We have been working, including from Dr. Liz Sherwood-Randall here, as well as our Homeland Security Department, closely with our federal, state, and local partners to continuously assess the threat environment and keep our communities safe. And our efforts include enhanced intelligence sharing, a critical incident response plan for the U.S. Capitol, a regional security assessment, and a simulation experiment that developed data-driven recommendations to bolster regional security. So we are closely monitoring, closely watching, and working with state and local authorities.
Okay, so that's Jen Psaki of the White House saying that, not really delineating between what they're doing in Canada and what we're going to do in the United States. Well, if they come here, we've got Homeland Security on the case, and we're making sure that people won't protest ridiculous rules. I saw a video. I brought it down. I'm not sure if I'm going to play it here because I don't know if we have time today. There's a video, though, that maybe if you follow me on Twitter, I'll retweet it. There's a guy skiing in Canada without a mask on. Skiing. I don't know if you know this about skiing, but you're pretty dang far away from any other individual outside. At this point in time, wearing a mask outside will do the same amount of good as reciting a magical incantation before you enter the playground. I stole that joke from a talk show host that I listened to, but it's about the same. You might as well, I'm not going to use that particular reference, but you might as well recite a poem that absolves you from COVID before you step foot outside than wear a mask. It's the same difference. But the ridiculous rules continue to pile onto each other. This is a tweet from a sitting U.S. congressman regarding the trucker convoy that's potentially headed to the White House or to D.C. I'm going to make it big so you can see it. Ruben Gallego, I believe Congressman Democrat from Arizona, said this: perfect time to impound and give the trucks to small trucking companies looking to expand their business. Hashtag redistribution of wealth much. Wow. So what if you're a small business truck owner? What if you're a small business owner and you happen to be a trucker? What if you decide to go to Washington, D.C.? Does this congressman want to take your truck away and give it to somebody else for protesting? What world are we living in nowadays? I'm curious. What do you think in the comment section? Let me know how you feel about this. Again, sitting U.S. congressperson says perfect time to impound and give the trucks to small trucking companies looking to expand their businesses. Whoa. You know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. We'll see how this plays out. It's going to be interesting. Supposedly there is a trucker convoy on the way to D.C. Not a lot of coverage, obviously, about that, but they're supposedly possibly going to get to Washington, D.C. today. So we'll keep you posted on that. If anything happens there, we'll bring it to your attention. I want to get this back. I want to talk about this. Sanctions in Russia. Okay, so yesterday, catch you up to speed if you weren't here yesterday. Putin invaded certain parts of Ukraine. Actually, you know what? Oh, shoot. I don't know if I have the let me see if I can pull up this map that we had originally to show what is going on. There in Russia, there's two provinces that Putin said, well, these are now independent places and shouldn't be controlled by the tyrannical Ukrainian government. Obviously, that is not the case. We don't have the map with us today. So I was going to show you where those regions are in relation to Russia, Kiev, and Ukraine. But on the eastern side of Ukraine, there are two like north and south provinces that Putin had said that these are now independent territories. And now we must send Russian troops to free these independent territories from their Ukrainian rule, and is using that as a reason to go into Ukraine. It's not a good reason, but he's using it nonetheless. Let me see. I want to bring your attention to this. This is from the New York Times. Okay, so first of all, the White House called off the meeting between Putin and Biden over the weekend. I believe it was Sunday. Biden said, yeah, I'll meet with Putin. Putin was like, yeah, I'll meet with Biden. That meeting is now off, according to White House officials. They've said that, well, since Putin is now planning an attack, okay, back up a little bit. Remember the minor incursions thing? Joe Biden said, well, if it's a minor incursion, we don't actually know what we'll do. He's been having to walk that back so hard to where the White House then said, if one Russian soldier sets foot on Ukrainian land, that is an attack. So because that happened, Biden is now saying, well, Ukraine is under attack. There's no need for these diplomatic meetings anymore. So the White House has called that off. But Putin has gone into Ukraine to free those independent territories that he now calls it from Ukrainian control. I have a suggestion. Have we all tried changing our profile pictures? That always works in every other chaotic situation, disaster, tragedy. Changing your profile pictures works. Follow the science. This is from the New York Times. 8 years ago, after Russia, the New York Times put out a piece yesterday, basically asking, do sanctions work? President Biden and the White House unleashed a bunch of sanctions on Russia after they invaded Ukraine, or at least those two provinces, sent troops into those provinces. The New York Times then released a point that said, do sanctions actually work? And their answer, spoiler alert, is we don't know. This is again from the NYT. 8 years ago, after Russia annexed Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula, the U.S. and its allies harshly condemned the invasions and imposed economic sanctions on Russia. Sound familiar? It barely seemed to matter. Russia still controls Crimea. Russia's economy, after going through a recession, soon started growing again. President Vladimir Putin remains firmly in control of his government and has now begun another invasion, this time the eastern Ukraine. In response, President Biden announced yesterday new sanctions that imposed in tandem with Britain and European unions. Putin's aggression, said, is a flagrant violation of international law and demands a firm response from the international community. Biden also signaled more sanctions will follow. But again, the New York Times is asking the questions, do those work? And if you're looking at other sanctions that the United States has levied, the answer seems to be not really. The obvious question is whether these sanctions will be more effective than the earlier ones. Today's newsletter lays out the possibility. So this was in the newsletter from the New York Times. Let me read a couple more lines from this. The reality is that for sanctions to have a big political repercussions, they often need to be harsh, smart, targeted sanctions won't work. Smart and targeted sanctions won't work, says two international relations experts who wrote in Politico. To really impose pain on Russia, the U.S. and Europe will have to bear some burden too, although fortunately there's ways to minimize the fallout. So sanctions don't work unless we take a step back from ourselves. This is Joe Biden commenting on that exact idea. Watch this from the president yesterday.
Defending freedom will have cost for us as well, and here at home. We need to be honest about that. But as we do this, I'm going to take robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, not ours.
So yeah, hopefully. Oh, there's the map. So we'll get to that map in just a quick second. Kind of show you those two areas that Putin is looking to invade, is invading. But President Biden said, some of these sanctions might have an effect on us. What he was talking about is at the gas pump. I don't know if you've seen gas prices lately. They're through the freaking roof. Somebody said, I'm in Arizona right now talking to people who are from around the country. Somebody said, I think they were from Texas. They were like, yeah, gas is over $3. Me being from Southern California was like, Oh, that's hilarious. I wish gas was $3 where I live. It's like $5 nowadays. But what Joe Biden was hinting at is the fact that the United States gets about 7% of its oil and therefore gas from Russia, to my knowledge, the things that I was reading earlier about this. So if those sanctions impact Russia's ability to export gas to the United States, or fuel or oil, whatever you want to call it, that could have a further impact on United States gas prices. So there's that. Let me get to this photo really quick, or this graphic. If you're just listening to this, this is a graphic of Ukraine. Let me make it bigger for those of you watching online. The Donetsk part is where Vladimir Putin has said this is now free land. So that inside the red line is held by Russian-backed separatists. The Donetsk and Luhansk. There we go. Those two grayed out areas, or beiged out areas, is where Putin is saying, well, this is going to, these are free lands nowadays. Those are obviously all inside of the country of Ukraine, but that is what the justification. It's the justification Putin is using to go into Ukraine. If you look at that map, he's saying those areas are being controlled by Ukraine unjustly, and we need to go free those people. So that is happening there. Again, we'll keep you posted on anything that comes out of this. It is going to be an evolving situation for a long time. What are we keeping you up to date on? The truckers and what's going on in Russia. Those two things, if you check back with us later on in the week, we'll have more up to date what's happening throughout the week. Wanted to get to this. Another major recall is going on in California. This is going to be interesting to see if the residents of Los Angeles County, is it the second biggest county citizen-wise? I think it is. District Attorney of Los Angeles County is being recalled. The reason why I think this matters to the rest of you outside of California is because you don't want one of these types of people in the district attorney seat wherever it is that you live. A lot of people don't pay attention to the district attorney races, but they have a huge amount of power. You can go down the rabbit hole of these campaigns are all funded by George Soros, which they were in a lot of ways. But this is going to be super interesting. The reason why I think this is interesting going on in California is because of this. These polls have come out showing the support for the people inside the DA's own prosecutorial office about his recall. Nearly 98% of Los Angeles prosecutors voted in support of the effort to oust the DA. So 98% of Los Angeles prosecutors want to remove their boss. More than 9 out of 10 Los Angeles prosecutors are supporting the effort to recall District Attorney George Gascon, according to the Los Angeles Association of Deputy District Attorneys, which released the results of the vote among county prosecutors on Tuesday. So yesterday they released this, said that nobody wants this guy in office. The LA County Registrar approved the recall, which is now seeking 800,000 to 900,000 petition signatures. Last year, violent crime spiked, which began in 2020. This is unreal what's going on in Los Angeles County. More people in California as a whole are looking at Los Angeles County and going, holy cow, the violent crime there has spiked massively. George Gascon, guy that went from San Francisco DA to Los Angeles County DA. And again, the reason why I want to hit on this a lot, or at least let you know about it, because I would imagine the second that George Gascon gets ousted by the recall, he's going to move to like Podunk, Nebraska, and get elected there and try to implement his crazy, insane policies in some other state. Because again, he's already moved counties a couple times. He likes being district attorney. You can see what's going on in San Francisco. Tucker talks about this a lot. The poop maps in the city of San Francisco. And this guy's one who headed it all up, and now he's in charge in Los Angeles. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what happens with this recall in Los Angeles County. There's a couple headlines that I wanted to get to. Let me see. The State of the Union is next week. And this is going to be interesting. So Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds will give the Republican response to President Joe Biden's State of the Union address. Senate Minority Leader and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Senator Mitch McConnell announced on Tuesday. So that's going to be that. There's always a response from the opposition party. But what's also interesting about this particular SOTU, and we'll talk about this more later, is a member of the squad is also going to deliver a formal response to President Joe Biden's State of the Union address on Tuesday. Rashida Tlaib, Democrat Congresswoman of Michigan, Democrat Congress they, I don't want to assume their gender, is going to be giving a speech on behalf of the left-wing group Working Families Party and expected to hammer moderate Democrats who stymied Joe Biden's social spending program and climate change packages. So that's going to be really, really interesting. What else is going on in the SOTU speech? The State of the Union, obviously, the Congressional House is filled. Nancy Pelosi last week widened the capacity to fill everybody. Everybody's going to be back in the SOTU. I feel like they're all going to wear masks, but last year's inaugural SOTU for the president, pretty much nobody was able to be in the room. And so there was that. Let me see. Oh, I got to tell you about inflation. So inflation is, again, through the roof. You've seen it, your gas prices. President Joe Biden is, again, signaling that gas prices may go up even further because of the sanctions levied on Russia, which is only going to cause inflation to continue to pile on. It's at what, like 7.5% year over year, 40-year high. The last president that had to deal with this was Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan was like, inflation is like a thief in the middle of the night. It'll take everything you got, no questions asked. Inflation is the real killer amongst savings and the United States family financial future. How do you protect yourself? Because you need to. Well, you can best protect yourself by investing in gold. Buy gold, Sonny. And how do you buy gold? Well, our friends at Birch Gold can tell you how to do that. Text JOBOB to 989898. That's Jobob to 989898. And our friends at Birch Gold will send you a no risk, no obligation, no nothing packet that tells you everything you need to know about investing in gold. Do it today. Help protect yourself. Help protect your family's financial future. Invest in gold today, friend to a friend. You need to do it. Protect yourself, because the U.S. is sabotaging the value of the U.S. dollar, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. I want to get back to this. This is interesting. This happened yesterday. Let me see. Let me find this article here. Let me scrolling through my notes. U.S. women's soccer is getting a payout. Kind of interesting going on. So it's been a 6-year battle, and U.S. women's soccer, I'm still scrolling to try and find this stupid story. Here we go. Players from the United States women's national team has settled their class action suit for equal pay lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer Federation, the total of $24 million, the two sides announcing in a court filing on Tuesday. In settling the suit, the players will receive a lump sum of $22 million, the amount distributed to the players as well as a bunch of other different places, yada, yada, yada. It's going to be interesting to see this because I'm curious to see how this is going to work itself out. If I remember correctly, part of the reason why the women's soccer team didn't make first of all, there's obviously the capitalism component of, they don't bring in the revenue, and therefore one wouldn't make as much money as the men's team, even though they win way more, except in the last Olympics, which was embarrassing a little bit. But there's also a component of the United States women's teams union negotiated a bad deal and then claimed that they were getting screwed out of the bad deal that they negotiated. I think they negotiated for more upfront money and less back-end payout, which equaled then less money than the men's team, who has an entirely different structure of how they get paid. So, with this being said as a cultural precedent, not necessarily a legal precedent of the United States Soccer Federation settling here, it's going to be interesting to see if people are going to try and sue companies, federations, whatever it is, for equal pay when in fact they themselves were the ones who negotiated the poor pay to begin with. Hopefully you stuck onto that scattered explanation. But that is that. Let me see if there's anything else to get to. The CDC changed some health protocols. We'll talk about that tomorrow. That's actually super interesting. If you're not following this, you should be. The CDC, in effect, has changed the way that they're counting various things, obviously COVID, but also children's reading levels. Kind of did that in the middle of the night, hoping that nobody would notice, but people noticed. We'll talk about that tomorrow more in depth because I feel like that is a big story that I feel like people need to pay attention to more. But that is going to do it for us today. We appreciate you sticking around, tuning in, especially when we're on the road doing this from a hotel room. Obviously, the content quality is not nearly as what it is when we're in the dingy bunker that's completely cut off from the outside world except for all the internet. But appreciate you sticking around. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Would appreciate that mucho. Just type in Jobob pretty much anywhere. I'm hilarious on the internet, by the way, in case you don't know. Instagram. My Instagram handle says follow me for ridiculous nonsense and hard-hitting news, of which you will get both because there is hard-hitting news, but there's also hilarity going on throughout the world, and we need to poke fun at it continually throughout everything to stay sane in our daily life. So give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Would really, really appreciate that. We'll be right back here tomorrow, again, from the dingy bunker, same time, different place. See you then. We'll give you updates on the trucker rally, the Russia minor incursion, among other things. We'll see you then. God bless America.